Hello friends, welcome to lecture number 36. With this, we will start our 8th module today, which is about marketing major sectors in tourism. Today, we will study about accommodation marketing. Accommodation marketing, first of all, try to understand what are we talking about. Accommodation, when we talk about, we all know there are 5 A's in tourism. Out of those 5 A's, accommodation is one of the A, which is usually considered to be the second one. Total expenditure which a tourist does on his trip, approximately 50% of that goes to the accommodation sector. This includes his F&B services, this includes his lodging facilities, this includes a part of entertainment also, like if you talk about casino, if you talk about disc, if you talk about bar, gym, beauty parlor if he has gone to or she has gone to. So, all those things if we talk about, more or less these are those facilities which are, even swimming pool, these are those facilities which are present in the hotel itself, in the accommodation facility which he has chosen, in that itself. I am saying mostly, not always, and there is no rule also for this, for being an accommodation facility provider. So, approximately 50% of that money goes to the accommodation sector. So, it is a very important sector. It is one of that sector which provides a comfort also to the guest, a security also to the guest. So, it is very important from the perspective of guest also, I mean tourist, and from the perspective of a business owner also, because 50% money goes to this particular sector. When we talk about accommodation per se, then we will see that schools also provide hostels, universities also provide hostels, prisons also provide accommodation, elder homes also provide accommodation to the elderly people, orphanages to the orphans, and accommodation to the troops also, armed forces and other things. So, all these are actually they provide accommodation of some kind. So, when we talk in general about accommodation, these all are different kind of accommodation, and this list is not exhaustive. There are other accommodations also which are available. So, when we are talking about accommodation in this particular lecture, we are talking about those accommodation providers who are providing accommodation to the tourist, okay, and not to other kind of. But when we talk about schools and universities and all these kind of accommodation providers, they do compete with the hotels and other type of accommodation providers which provide accommodation to tourists, because whenever there is going to be a conference, okay, there is going to be a training, okay, whether it is in some university or a school. Schools and universities do provide accommodation in the form of guest houses, in the form of hostels, especially when students are not residing over there. So, they during summer vacation and winter vacation, they use these kind of facilities which is already available to them, and they compete with the professional or maybe commercial accommodation providers, and they provide very good pricing. Their pricing is very competitive, and the kind of security which they provide is also very good with respect to what actually a hotel or maybe a lodge can provide. Now, when we talk about all the facilities which are provided by a hotel, there are a lot of facilities which are being consumed by locals also, like if you talk about F&B services, banquet facility, any event organization, any meeting, party or that kind of a thing. So, in that condition, when we talk about total income which a hotel earns through its selling of its services, only a fraction of it comes from tourism, and a part of it comes through the expenditure which is being done by the locals also. So, tourism industry, when we talk about, only provides a fraction of all the income of the hotels and then of the total income of the accommodation provider in general, okay. Now, there are a lot of type of accommodation providers which are quasi commercial, means not completely commercial, but then they have a different rate for people who travel for some kind of leisure activity or business activity. So, like YMCA is there, YWCA is there, student hostels are there, university guest houses are there. Their rate for their own employees, or maybe if they are organizing any event in their own university or school, that is different than if somebody else who has not been coming from this kind of an event and not employee of the university also, then their rates are different. So, these are quasi commercial, means half commercial. They do make money through organizing events for their own purpose also, and then what is their core business, and then they do make money a little bit extra also by providing accommodation to those people also who may not be coming for some kind of activity in their own university or school. Hotels, when we talk about, also are two types. One is serviced and another one is non-serviced. Non-serviced accommodations are those accommodations wherein people go and stay, and they may not be providing F&B services or laundry services or security services or F&B services. So like apartments are there, cottages, family cottages are there, pod hotels are there, even cleaning are also not provided, caravans are there. So these are all those non-serviced accommodation providers. And when we talk about serviced accommodation providers, then guest houses are there, hotels are there. So even in case of accommodation providers also, it can be serviced or non-serviced, even if we are talking about only commercial. In commercial also serviced and non-serviced. Okay. So how accommodation providers actually market their product? They usually concentrate on the characteristics of the type of accommodation which they are providing, and the characteristics which they highlight are convenient location. What is the meaning of convenient location? What if somebody is going for some kind of business tour? If the person is going for business tour, then if the location is institutional area, this is a convenient location. If somebody is going for leisure travel and that person is staying, let's say, in some scenic place, resort like mountain resort, beach resort, okay, then this is going to be a convenient location. So they highlight convenient location. If somebody is going for, in general, for tourism purpose only, but then not a very site specific but city specific, then maybe the heart of the city. So that will become a convenient location. So convenient location means convenient as per the perspective of the tourist. So convenient, they highlight convenient location. Then they highlight about what kind of comfort are they providing: comfortable bed, comfortable transportation, good range of F&B services, these kind of things. Then high standard of services, good range of menu, fast or maybe a lavish, your check-in process. So it depends, like if it is business hotel, fast check-in process. If it is going to be a family hotel or maybe for leisure travel, then in that condition, a very elaborate check-in process wherein you make your guest feel like he's God or he is some kind of a king. So it depends, like, what is the perspective of your customer. So here, comfortable and high standard, both of these things they, highlight to a great extent. Then the value for money, whatever money your tourist is spending, in lieu of that, what are the kind of services and to what extent is he getting his, his desires or his needs met. That is called value for money. What is he getting in lieu of that, benefits which he gets after using it. So they highlight value for money. If it is a family, let's say, hotel, then in that condition, what kind of entertainment is being provided, what kind of security is being provided with kids, family traveling with kids, So this is value for money. Now, in line with the destination choice, what if that destination is a culture-based destination? Culture-based destination are those destinations which look forward to tourists who stay there for a longer period of time, because culture is not something to be seen. Culture is something to be experienced. So to have a good experience, the person needs to stay over there for a longer period of time. So here, depending on the destination, the nature of the destination, the accommodation also has to be for a longer period of time. So maybe this is going to be an economical accommodation, providing a very, not a lavish menu, but a very, very local kind of a menu which has a lot of local cuisines, local taste, So instead of giving it a very continental kind of a thing or American kind of a thing, no, something which is more of a local kind of a thing, and longer duration of a stay, because culture can only be experienced by a longer stay, not by just staying there for 2 nights, 3 nights or 4 nights and then, having something which is not even local in taste. This is not culture. So then, depending on the destination choice also, hotels provide hotels highlight during their marketing, during the promotion, during developing their product. Now, next is what kind of facilities are they providing? in their washrooms, in their bedrooms, in their washrooms, in the F&B range, what is there, what kind of entertainment facilities, like casino is there, swimming pool is there, disc means disco, then health clubs are there, sports facilities are there, bar, lounge, all these kind of facilities which are being provided by a hotel. Then out of all those facilities, what is the range which is present over there? So hotels always highlight them because they want to provide as much, differential experience to their tourist as possible. They don't want their guests to have a similar kind of experience every day. If one day the tourist has gone to, let's say, swimming pool, next day they want the tourist to go to, disc, third day they want to have this tourist a very lavish dinner in their lounge, fourth day they want him to go to, let's say, some kind of a sports facility, maybe horse riding, maybe polo, so that's how, they want to give a range so that tourist feels, entertained every moment. The kind of change which a tourist comes for when he goes for a destination or tourism per se. So that kind of a range of activities they want to provide. So they highlight different kind of facilities which they are providing, or the duration of a stay. Is it going to be a weekend kind of a stay? Is it going to be long duration stay? Like I gave you example of cultural here. So that way. So they provide. They even highlight what kind of a stay is going to be good in this kind of a property. Now next is a group consists of whether it is going to be family, student, business or transit. Now that depending on the nature of these people, these guests, whether it is a family, then that kind of room, comfortable, larger, separate bed for kids, maybe adjacent rooms, maybe adjoining rooms, maybe a junior suite, or maybe a family suite, or maybe a family cottage, a personal swimming pool, or maybe if it is going to be a very small kid, then maybe a room wherein a lot of toys are going to be there. Okay, then balcony also safe from the perspective of having a small kids. Then the location of switches also such, so they provide all those kind of things. Then mini fridge also at such a height wherein it's not approachable to kids. So all those things they highlight, keeping in mind like what is going to be the, who are going to be the part of that group which is going to stay with them. Based on that they design their entire 7 P's of marketing, and then they come up with that kind of a product, in fact offer into the market. Then they come up with that kind of an offer in the market. Now what is the location? Location is like I told you about convenient location. Then it may not be convenient. First was convenience, second is it may not be convenience. Like if you talk about resort may be too far from the airport or point of arrival. If the point of arrival is, let's say, airport, and resort may be altogether in different direction, maybe let's say 50, 60 or 70 kilometer away, because the main thing about resort is its location. So that location may not be close to the point of arrival. So in that condition, location. So first is convenient location, which is just next to the point of arrival and departure, and next is a unique location. So location has two aspects here. So depending on all those characteristics, they actually design their product, then they do their pricing, develop a communication, entire communication mix, and then they promote their product, then they sell their product, then they deliver that kind of service also for higher guest satisfaction. That's how accommodation providers market their product. So next we will study about accommodation providers on the continuum of goods and services. In my previous lecture, I told you about that scale of continuum of goods and services, on which one side was completely good, second side was services, and I told you that most of these products, they lie in between these two. They are a combination of a couple of elements of goods and couple of elements of services. So on this scale, on this continuum, where do the products of accommodation providers or maybe hotel industry stand? So when we talk about the tangibles which actually accommodation providers provide are building. You talk about a heritage property. In case of heritage property or a heritage hotel, its main attraction for which a person comes and stay is the building, the layout of the building, the look of the building, the kind of complete decoration. All these are tangibles. So that's how this tangible is the main reason because of which a guest goes and stays over there. Then room comfort like bed, washroom replenishments, all these are tangible items. Okay, F&B. Delivery of F&B is a part of service, but when we talk about F&B per se itself, whether you talk about any of the drink or you talk about, any of the food, that is completely tangible. We can touch it, we can eat it, we can taste it. Then lawns and plantation, what kind of greenery which is over there, that also comes under tangible. Then sports facility, completely tangible. Swimming pool, tangible. Gym equipments, tangible. Casino, etc. So all these things which I told you, the facilities which are being provided by accommodation providers, all these come under tangible. So on this continuum, here we are saying that hotel industry is moving more towards tangible, but there are a lot of intangible services also which are being provided by the accommodation providers, like feel of, I'm not talking about that AC three-dimensional physical good. I'm talking about the service of AC, because when a guest goes and stays in the hotel, he doesn't stay in the hotel to touch that AC. He stays in that hotel to get the comfort which comes after using that AC. So here I have included AC in intangible. Then the reservation facility, if we talk about the registration facility, if we talk about check-in process, room services, communication services. What if you need to make a call and it's not working properly, or maybe you need to receive a fax? Then communication, internet facility, then security services, laundry and dry cleaning services, internet, entertainment, clubs. So when we look at all those things, resort location, in fact, we talk about all those things, these things come under services. So we see that actually when we talk about all these services or the facilities provided by hotel industry or accommodation provider, none of them are independent in nature of whether it is tangible or intangible. It is a combination of both of them, and when we look at even each and every service separately, they become a combination. Like if we talk about F&B services, food and beverages, what we drink and what we eat is completely tangible. But when we talk about if a waiter has not been serving you properly, it has not been decorated beautifully, wherein it is, bringing some water in your mouth and looking so attractive that even if your stomach is full, you simply want to, jump on it, then in that condition, that F&B is not so effective, this kind of a service. So that's how we talk about it is a combination of goods and services. And when we talk about this continuum, it lies somewhere in between with a combination of both of these things put in together. Now, elements of marketing mix for accommodation provider. Now, how do these accommodation provider actually decide on how to make their marketing mix? First of all, they start with evaluating market opportunities. What kind of market opportunities, not marketing, market opportunities are existing over there. Now, depending on the destination type, I gave you example in my previous slide, I gave you example of culture place. If it is a culture based destination, then in that condition, it will be more of homestay kind of a thing, okay? Why? Because homestay is something which gives you a very local experience. If you are going to a place and you are staying in a 5-star property and eating international cuisine, no, that's not the kind of then place where you should go. If it's a culture based destination, you should go and stay in a homestay with a local person, eat what they eat, see how are they cooking, what are they wearing, what is their daily lifestyle, and how are the people in the surrounding living. So this is a more kind of accommodation which you should use if you are going to culture based destination. So depending on the destination type also they decide. So if there is any accommodation provider and he is trying to enter into this kind of a market, he should go for homestay kind of a thing, or maybe cottage kind of a thing, or something which is more which has more of local elements into it, okay? Then they also see who are their targeted segment. If their targeted segment is business class, it will be altogether different thing. If it is a honeymoon couple, it will be altogether a different thing, So that's how, if it is, let's say, senior citizens, the lifts have to be very effective. The font size has to be larger wherein senior citizens can see. After that, need not walk after, they reach at that particular floor. They should not be, walking more. 100% accessibility, like if you talk about First World Hotel. There was a time when it was the largest hotel in the world with 10,000 rooms, but still it was completely accessible property. So that way you can understand, kind of feeling which a guest, let's say senior citizen of something around 80-85 years, and maybe one of them is restricted to the wheelchair and going and stay in first world property, which was the largest in the world, which is completely accessible. What kind of a, customer satisfaction will be there, that guest satisfaction which will be there. So that's how actually what kind of target segment, how you can make couple of the elements of your marketing mix, your USP. This is what is the need of the hour. Otherwise, accommodation is present everywhere. It's just that how do you make your own business unique. Okay, so just search one or two elements and work on it, and then make it your USP. That's what is required. Now, checking on the strategic alliances through merger, joint ventures, franchise and acquisitions, because you cannot open your property at each and every place. So in that condition, entering into some kind of joint venture or maybe giving a franchise, this is always going to be more economical and more sustainable. So a company should also always look for those ways of business expansion which are more sustainable, and not something which is just capital intensive kind of a thing. Then deciding on the product mix, what kind of elements to be included in the product, like primarily depending on the location of the property, maybe in different properties. So if one property is, let's say, is a mountain resort, then its all elements will be different. But if the another property, maybe they will be looking for more of scenic beauty, large windows, they are going to provide that kind of an experience wherein the person would like to stay more in the property itself. Maybe in the lawn of the property he can get a view of the sunrise, and another lawn can give a view of the sunset, that kind of a thing. But when we talk about there is another property which is going to be at a cultural destination oriented place, then in that condition this is not the play, this is not an accommodation where a guest should stay more time inside. He should go out and interact with the local people. So maybe here they need to provide more of communication and transportation facilities. So this is how product mix has to be decided depending on the nature of that place. Where is the location, what is the nature of that destination? It should go in line with that, not in discretion. The next is deciding a marketing mix based on the product mix. Now, whatever is your product mix, whatever the kind of product, kind of property which the company has developed over there, based on that marketing mix has to be decided. If it is going to be more of a culture based kind of a thing, then the environment of the property is to be such wherein the person feels like he is entering into a small city within the city itself, or the food and cuisines also has to be such. That's how the marketing mix product mix have to be developed. And then after that, marketing mix means, let me tell you one thing, in the marketing mix, most important element which is here is about information and communication technology. But whenever we talk about these kind of properties, these properties are such which needs to be distributed or to be sold to those people who are living far away. So in absence of information communication technology, it is simply not possible to sell, to promote, to make people aware about that place. So it's very important that actually after making that kind of a product, they need to develop a marketing mix, and this marketing mix should extensively use ICT, that kind of a retail chain which can sell this kind of a product, then development of websites and other thing. So that's how actually, based on the product mix, marketing mix has to be evolved. Certainly, to certain extent, it will be as per the philosophy of the company, but certain elements of peculiarities of that particular property should also be added. Maybe the hotel chain has 10 properties, but all 10 properties may not be targeting only business travelers. So one advertisement from the corporate side about this entire chain, and then couple of more advertisements. If let's say out of these 10 properties, 3 are concentrating on family people and leisure tourists, then in that condition an advertisement for these 3. If 4 are talking about business, then 4 on business, concentrating on these 4 properties only. So couple of things in wholesome, and then few of the marketing mix in such a way wherein you are making a cluster of maybe based on different segments which you are targeting, and as well as the nature of the destination also. Now, designing loyalty programs, it's very important, because a repeat customer is the best source for making money and the best source for a positive word of mouth in the market also. So here companies should design the loyalty program in such a way wherein the tourist is pulled to come and stay, if not the same property, then maybe a different property. And there is another benefit of using these kind of loyalty program. What happens, let's say there is a property which has not been doing so well. So in that condition, if your tourist has come and stayed in one of the property which is doing very well, maybe you can give him a loyalty points, a little bit higher loyalty points if he goes and stays in that property, okay, the one which was not doing well. So that's how, by concentrating on one cash cow, you can sell those also which may not be doing so well. And another benefit of this is, maybe that property, the second one which has not been doing so well during a particular season. So the person has come and stayed in your property, you make him a loyal customer, you provide him some kind of incentive and just lure that person to go and stay either in the property which has not been doing so well or during low season. So that's how designing a proper loyalty program, so that the entire yield management can be done. You can optimize your income, combining all these elements of the different nature of your properties put in together. Okay. Now, integrated marketing in chains, this we will study in the next slide. So, elements of marketing mix in this integrated marketing for chain. So, like how do these chain properties which are not independent properties, 1 or 2, maybe 20, 30, 40 or 500 or 600, how do they do? They do this in the form of coordination that individual unit can achieve economies of scale, because I told you just now in the previous slide that they do it at a centralized level also, at the corporate level. So, if one advertisement is there for, let's say, XYZ Hotels Private Limited. So, in that condition, what happens that every property of that XYZ Hotels Private Limited is going to get benefited. So, they get a operations of scale. When they purchase, they do it at a centralized level. When they advertise, they do it at a centralized level. When they sell their product, they do it at a centralized level. When they promote their product, they do it at a centralized level, and every property gets benefited out of it. So, that's how they achieve economies of scale, doing something at a larger level and that get benefited out of it. Okay. Then after that, they also do referrals for their property. Referrals for their property, like one property the customer has come and stayed, and then after that they are giving a referral, sir, in our that property nowadays we are going on with a loyalty program, or maybe you have already stayed with us, so we would like to give you another property, we are coming up with that, and if you go and stay over there, you will get you can use the loyalty points, or you can use the points which you have gained after staying with us. So that's how they give referral of their other properties. And even if they are not coming up with any loyalty program, they simply provide a little leaflet kind of a thing, or maybe a link to the guest, and then in that referral, or in that leaflet, or in that link, there is a list of all the properties which that company is owning. So that's how one property is promoting another property, and that too with a very targeted kind of a guest. Okay. Now, use of CRS and common call centers. So, centralized reservation system and a common call center is going to cater to all the properties. So, this is also another way of reaching to economies of scale. So, that is how they cut down on their expenditure and maximize or maybe optimize their profit. Next is website homepage. So, if there is a website of that particular company, on that homepage itself, there will be link to all the properties. So, that is how when a person, let's say, wants to go and stay in Mumbai, and then he gets on that home page itself that there is another property which is there in Guwahati of the same chain of hotel, then in condition he gets to know about that Guwahati property also. So, that is how if a person, if someday plans to go to Guwahati, he remembers that thing, that I have already stayed in that hotel, and then there is another hotel and my satisfaction level was also good, and they have another property in Guwahati. So, maybe I can go and stay with them, I will get maybe a lesser price, or I can use my points, or I will get a better satisfaction. There are different ways of thinking, but then whichever way of thinking, finally property or that chain of hotels is getting benefit, and customer is also getting a higher satisfaction. Okay. Then common retail distribution, all those retail distributors, travel agencies, tour operator through which they are selling all the hotels equally. So, just one point of contact for selling, and they are selling your let's say 50 properties. If it is a travel agency, all 50 properties. If it, let's say, your preferred sales agent, all 50 properties. So, that is how they optimize or maybe minimize their cost and maximize their profit. The next is promotion. When it comes to corporate positioning, especially if you talk about, I'll give you the example of Tata Sons. Tata Sons has, excellently positioned themselves as to be a very patriotic, very Indian kind of a group of companies, and we all know Tata Sons owns 5-6 types of accommodation, accommodation facilities also in India. So in that condition, anybody who's patriotic, or anybody who has idea about the kind of lifestyle which Tatas have, they will be somehow inclined to go and live in those kind of properties. So that's how the corporate positioning of Tata Sons is helping them in selling any of such properties, especially if it is going to be budget properties like Vivanta is there, Ginger is there, budget properties. Then branding, the way in which you are branding your property, like if you talk about a couple of companies which have like Leela Kempinski, it's a very lavish kind of a thing associated with lifestyle. So their branding is such. So when we talk about the Leela group, they have all their properties which is into leisure. So just one one positioning is going to benefit all the properties. So this is also one of the benefit of having a chain. Then joint advertising and PR. So whatever kind of advertisements these chains of hotels do, or whatever kind of public relation activity, organizing dinners or providing gifts, calling a press conference, all these things become like a joint effort for all the properties which that particular hotel chain is owning. Now professional marketing and sales team, common professional marketing, okay, common sales team, common call center, common customer care, all these things are going to be common, and they are going to be used by all the properties which this particular chain of hotel owns. So that's how they are minimizing on their cost. Cost really goes down. Okay, and they are maximizing, or maybe I will not say optimizing, they are certainly maximizing their profits. Okay. Now next is access to the group brochures and leaflet. Just one group brochure and it is going to speak about, or maybe leaflet, it is going to speak about all these properties which are there. Group brochure, leaflet, websites, advertisements, PR activity, any kind of communication, it is going to be for all the hotels which are there, all the properties which are there. Okay. Now next is joint trade fairs and exhibitions. Whenever there is going to be a trade fair, if the group is participating, this is going to be a representation of all the properties. If they are organizing any kind of training, it is going to affect every employee in all the properties. They all are connected with each other, they talk to each other, what kind of training was provided, what was taught, they also learn from that. So that's how they do it for a specific purpose, and somehow it affects all the properties in that entire chain. Okay. So the return on investment is really good, the impact of all these things is really good. Okay. Now group quality assurance to the guest. If customer is satisfied in one property and he is going to visit to another place where this chain of hotels has another property, there is a very high chance that because of this quality assurance, the guest is going to stay. Okay. So this impression of the performance of one property goes to all the hotels or all the properties in that chain. That is why it is very important to go ahead with quality assurance. There is no scope for doing any fault here, because if this is going to trickle down into other properties in terms of good experience, it is going to trickle down for bad experiences also. So there is no scope for doing any error here. Okay. Now yield management, I have already told you. Now developing guest loyalty program. One person has come and stayed, maybe that his marriage anniversary is going to be there after 3 months, you provide him a gift voucher of another property which may be, let us say, during low season, after 3 months, and then you provide him an incentive, and that is how you have developed a loyal guest. He might not otherwise be going, just because you have provided him that discount voucher he might be going. So, there are different ways in which, hotel can use these guests of one property to benefit other properties also. Okay. Now, customized loyalty scheme is also very important. It's not just that maybe the person has come and stayed for business purpose in a business property, and then you got to know that the person is having a good family, and his kids are also maybe looking for something, and there's a children's day or something which is about to happen. Through the records of your hotel, you can come to know. GRC provides all these details, so you will guest record that provides all the details. So that's how the hotel staff comes to know. So it's the only thing is how this chain of hotels use its own innovativeness and customize the program. It is not necessarily you give him for next 3 months. You may even give that during your marriage. If you go for celebration of birthday, if the guest is staying in such a city wherein you have a very small property, give him a voucher for let's say birthday parties, marriage anniversary parties. Now, whatever market researches which has been done by the corporate office of that one property, it can be used by other properties also. So that's how they optimize the use. Now, next is very commonly used strategies. They use internet for better reach. There's no doubt about it, because website can only be developed on internet. So, short term price discounts, like those unsold properties which are otherwise not making money, you can use these properties with the help of those properties which has been making money. So, that's how short term price discounts can be provided. Next is adding temporary values. Let's say a person has come and stayed in your beach resort, and there is another mountain resort. So, in mountain resort during winter season, we all know there is going to be a low season which is called TRO. So, you can use this TRO time and provide him some kind of gift voucher or maybe percentage of discount if he goes and stays over there. So, that's how temporary values can also be added. Okay. Next is establishing partnership to deliver complementary services like transportation. Or it may be organizing any event, okay, or it may be through some airline transportation for local, okay, airline for reaching over there. So, this kind of a partnership is going to work for the chain in the long run. If it is going to collaborate with any international airline, then if a person is traveling, a tourist is coming to to let's say India, and that hotel chain is having let's say 50 properties, then in that condition, that airline, when the person has actually is going to purchase that ticket, that airline staff is going to say that we have a alliance with this particular chain of hotels, and they have properties in all those 50, and they may provide a link in that mail itself, in that message itself. So, that's how establishing partnership is going to deliver very good services and profitability. Now, third party sales offices are also very good, wherein you can give them incentives, you can give them commission, and then they can sell your product. They may be your preferred sales agent, they may be your general sales agent, they may be your franchise. Fine, that way third party can also be used, or this may be a computerized reservation system or central reservation system also, or just maybe a GDS also. So, these are different type of third party which can be used. In the case of CSR, it can be any let's say TCS or Wipro, which is developing and managing a website for you. Now, entering into block booking for higher occupancy through this is basically done with the help of travel agencies and tour operators. They do block booking, and they confirm that to provide a very lower price to the tourist, as a result of which tourists go and stay when they are on their tours and trip. So, that's how higher occupancy can be reached. This higher occupancy does not provide you a very high profitability, but in that condition lower profitability, but since volume is there, so finally it results into a good earning. Okay. Now, an extensively trained and equipped sales force is required, necessity if actually it is a chain of hotel. Reason being that you have a very good number of room. Selling that requires a big sales force as well as a very extensively trained sales force also, because they need to have very specific details about all these different properties which are there in all the chains. So, if that is available, yes, the properties can be sold to a very good extent. With this, I am stopping this lecture here. At the end of it, I have provided you a list of books. You can refer to either of these books or any other book of your choice. Thank you.